Hello, world, and welcome to the CEWIT podcast. My name is Chris Lange, and I'm joined today by Klaar, who is an invited moderator and speaker for our CEWIT conference. Hey, how are you doing today, Klaar?
I'm all right. Nice to meet you.
Great to have you on here. So I generally like to start this off with introducing you to the audience. So maybe if you just want to give a little bit of background on yourself.
Sure. My name is Klaar De Schepper, and I'm just going to look at you and not the camera here.
Sure.
and my company name is Flux Tailor, and started it in 2017 after about 10 years of experience gathering energy data. Realized that I had a niche expertise and could help different kinds of organizations like governments and software developers launch solutions for people to transition to clean energy. And Flux Tailor comes in as a data plumber, if you will.
Kind of connecting the different sources.
Connecting the dots and making sure that data is presented in a way that's useful to people, that makes them be able to take action.
No, that's great. And that's very much, tied to the central theme here at the CEWIT conference, which is very much how can we look forward to build that safer, more environmentally friendly and sustainable future. So one of the central questions to this conference is very much, what would you say your vision for that cleaner and safer future? How does that look to you?
To me, it looks, in part, the path towards that is enabled by technology, which can lower activation energy for these changes to take place. A big part of the launching of the technology, and I'll emphasize this or try to frame this in the panel that we have later on, is to take into account the socioeconomic changes that are necessary for the technology to have impact. Because so often what we see is that disconnect between people who are very excited about technology, but they're coming very much from that space. And the community of folks who are designing the technology isn't diverse enough to really build technology that works for everybody. So my emphasis is on helping to build that bridge and to not come up with policies that really are technology pushing, if you will. And to early on start development with the realism in mind.
No, I think that's such a great point to make, that, there is such a broad community that can be involved and that should be involved in the conversations that we are talking about when we are looking towards the future. This is a future that is going to impact everyone, and everyone should be involved in that process. So kind of springboarding off of that, when you look forward to, maybe those are students who are interested in getting involved into this space, or people who are in a point in their career where they are interested in transitioning to help build that more beautiful future, what kind of advice would you have for someone who wants to add their voice to that collection?
Great question. First of all, we need everybody. So first of all, do it.
Yes.
And my own experience is that it's great to go to work knowing that you're going to help contribute to something that's important.
Right.
And it makes you feel good, and it helps to work through difficult times also. I feel that the people who work in this space have a shared passion. It's really cool to connect with them on.
Yeah.
And another piece of advice, I guess, is don't be discouraged if when you go to parties and you talk about your work, people walk away. Because some of the realities that we work with, like they're talking about emergency management in there, the slowly but surely developing emergency of climate change. And it can be a bit daunting and just feel like, oh, it's such a negative vibe, this climate change thing. So I encourage you to work through that and look at it more from the positive side, to not be discouraged by that. And slowly but surely, people are not walking away at parties anymore, I'm noticing. And the message that you're bringing is one that they know they need to hear.
So. I think that, the energy in the conference is very much one that I would say is collaborative, right? So now that we are having these conversations, and it's across many different disciplines, there's people who are looking at it from a healthcare lens. There are people who are looking at the climate modeling side of these things. And then there's every aspect of our world is being impacted by this. And like you said, that urgency that does exist, where, we take a look at this, but we try to have that positive light of saying, how can we include everyone to work towards building these things? And how can we use technology to kind of enable us to propel ourselves forward and accelerate the work that is being done across these different fields. So I think that, one of the other aspects of this is that there is now this idea of these large language models, this AI and this machine learning. And it's very much something that as people are introducing these technologies, there is a confusion on whether or not we can apply this into every field and whether we should apply that into every field. So I would ask one thing, has that been something that's impacted you and your workflow? Or how would you say that machine learning, AI technology, is that something that is very much involved in your day-to-day?
There's a button in one of the ticketing platforms that I'm using that helps me rewrite my very awkward, originally Dutch writing into something that is understandable by developers. Yeah. I very much appreciate that button. Yeah. and it teaches me to write better and less ambiguous specifications. It also gets stuff drastically wrong.
Yes. So, you definitely still have to proofread. At least I do.
Complex.
Yes.
Yeah, and it can't. So there are definitely things I see that it can't yet do. I'm really excited about some of the prospects of AI in helping people get to find what they're looking for more easily. Right. And doing a very broad research on things and connecting dots that otherwise wouldn't be connected.
It's very interesting to see how, you can ask these technologies and it just has so much data, and whether that data is curated, whether it's domain specific, it can really help you broaden your search and connect those dots, like you're saying, where maybe necessarily you wouldn't have seen that initially. And for me, I know what you said with the emails that helps you rewrite those. The biggest thing for me is just having that blank page. It also helps kind of generate ideas and give these different types of inspirations where it's like, oh, well, now the blank page has a little bit of a start and I can still go in and take a look, because the technologies as they exist, you still kind of have to do that second look. At least I found in my experience. Right?
Yeah. For some of the more complex problems, like how do you get people to make the change? I don't think AI can do much for us there. I think if you'd ask an AI model, given all the data, how do we solve climate change? It would probably say, get rid of people. and I once had a colleague who jokingly said that, like, that's how we can do energy savings.
Yes.
But yeah, and so to really figure out then how we can make our current life sustainable. I'm actually curious. I would be curious to see. I would love to do some testing to ask a model how to solve such a big problem. Yeah, I think though some of the smaller problems on the road there, sure, it can help with. It's one of the questions that we'll ask the panelists. They might have smarter answers.
No, I think it's a great point that, we have to take this technology and apply it in specific use cases, because otherwise, if you have these broader questions, right, it's not necessarily in a position to, hey, well, we don't want to just get rid of everyone, like you said, the colleague joked about. So I think that's something that's very interesting. So the final question that I would have here again is just for this healthier and sustainable and energy efficient future, when you look at how that's going to impact right now, so connecting the dots with people, what would you say the best way to have those conversations with people would be, where you just want to say, there is this urgency, there is this technology, when you would say, what are something that people could do right now to kind of take those steps forwards and to advance that dialogue?
As to whether or not you are deliberately in this industry, take it as a part of your work, as your life, to implement composting and recycling, for example. If you notice that it's not present, to not assume that it's somebody else's job, to take responsibility of your little patch of the world, and to really take agency. And it could be very daunting, and you can feel like you don't have any power to shift things, but within your little patch you do. And so start there and share that with other people, and hopefully that will be contagious.
No, that's such an empowering way of taking the world into your hands to the extent that you can, right? And the extent that you're able to start those conversations, start those actions, and really hope to build the momentum with everyone and broaden that community of people who are engaged with it. So thanks again for joining us on our podcast, and we welcome you here for our CEWIT conference. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.